We're going to go straight into the next session, and you've got to be gentle. Rina's asked me to be gentle. She doesn't like public speaking. We're going to do a little case study on what we've done here around the online reservation solution and some of the unique stuff that we've actually developed with Rina and Hattie and the team here at the AFL. So if you welcome Hamish from our team and Rina from Marvel Stadium.
Thanks, Austin. I might actually have a seat.
Is Jesse in this one as well or not?
Jesse's going to join us when we get into live demo mode. I'm not quite sure how much we're going to talk about really, Rina, but we're going to have a bit of a chat about our journey here. Hopefully you can hear okay. It's almost a year ago now we sat down and started thinking about what we needed to do here at Marvel Stadium after we got through all the commercial stuff, and I got the reins from Mostyn and the team to go away and sit down with Rina and just ask her about the parking experience here. And I know from Mostyn's relationship over many years with Rina that I was walking into a friendly place and she welcomed me very much with open arms, but she had lots of experience that she shared with me. Initially, I guess, what was your most painful experience with where you were sitting with managing events prior to sort of us walking in the door?
Look, we had the parking system that we were actually using at the time didn't conform with what we actually needed it to do, and I think there was a lot of key things that we needed put into the system that Ubi have brought forward for us and actually built for us. So it was just, it didn't work for how we wanted it to. How we needed it to work.
Yeah, I definitely felt that frustration in those early days because it was a lot of manual work, if I remember. And in fact, I think a lot of the hidden costs that you had with managing events was just time and trying to consolidate information about what AFL team is coming in this week, what players are coming in this week, and things like that. That was definitely one of those key areas. I didn't realise I was going to not be able to see my deck, so I can't remember where I'm at. So really we sat down and we worked out that we needed to have a bit of a three-step process to deliver this project, and that started with Carl and Eamon from 6.6, in fact, joining myself and Dilip at the time here on site, and we ran a pretty detailed design workshop to really ask those questions about, given a perfect world, Rina, how would this work for you? And of course, Eamon, in his eminent way, sat there with his post-it notes.
Post-it notes, many
post-it notes, and we unpacked a lot of the pain points. And I think that was probably a learning experience for me as the first time I had done that exercise at this scale. I'd done it in internal projects, but talk to me about that workshop specifically, because that was a learning experience for us all, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of things came out of that probably we didn't think about at the time. So, and just how we needed it to structure to be able to service the clubs, service the AFL, service our outside clients, and every person is different in that fold. So, there's different rules for different people, and it was just a matter of getting all that on a board and getting it together, and then you guys going away and trying to put something together for us.
That's right. So it did start out as a very much a design process, and I think what the biggest learning that I had in a delivery mode was failing fast. And in some respects we did do that because we came out with some prototypes early and they just didn't flow the way you expected as the post-it notes indicated they may. And so we went back, and fortunately we were using wireframes and mock-ups, I guess, at the time to simulate that experience. So it did allow us to iterate and improve that experience before we got to, I guess, a bit of the playback phase in detail, where we're actually starting to see the user interface in production from that. In your experience, you probably haven't done a lot of these things, but in your experience, did you find that helped you operationally as you sort of sit back and reflect on that now?
Yeah, it did. Like we said, in all those design meetings, it's probably to break it all down and to put it into all those sections really helped us as well, understanding what we actually wanted, where we wanted to actually be. And yeah, so it did really help us.
And if I remember, one of the biggest pain points was managing the people. And we laugh at that, but you know, AFL here run an amazing operation with 1 million stakeholders. Everyone's a stakeholder, everyone's a VIP. The home team of the day is really important, but so are the visitors and so are the AFL. So as we got through that process, we did pick on one of those groups of people, our friends at the AFL, and it was the umpires, I think, which one of our
Yep, they were our first.
one of our first. And I was pretty fortunate as we were going through some of those early pilot stages, and it goes back to what Carl was talking about earlier, as one of my old mates is one of the umpire coaches. So we were getting a little bit of feedback through Rina, but we only ever got bad news, problems. You know, I mean, Mary's phone's a bit old, or something. She didn't receive the email because the email was the wrong email address typed, or whatever she gave was. It was all silly stuff like that, right? It was once we sort of bedded it down, it was pretty simple for the people to manage. But I rang Scott McLaren, who many of you would know, and I asked him about his experience, and he's a bit 54-year-old white male like myself, and I'll see how his experience went from his perspective. They'd done a couple of sessions with this, I guess, pilot that we kicked off, and Scotty said, "Oh, it's a piece of piss, Hamish. I got the email and I got to park, and I didn't have to worry about my pass and pressing the button or pulling a ticket and getting a refund and all the other things that he had to do previously." And it was really good to have, from my perspective, an independent person tell me what we were doing was actually okay. Because up until that point, I was only hearing the bad stories through Rina and Hattie, and whatever the problem was, they were usually pretty minor, and we jumped on them and we got them sorted. So it was nice to have that validation from an old mate, and I still haven't bought him a beer since then, so I do owe him. I should have got him along today. So as we were sort of doing that playback period, you know, we discovered a lot of things which really were important in the functionality, and when Jesse steps up in a minute or two, we'll show you that actually. I know that a few of you are very keen to see that. But in terms of the delegation aspects of that was one of the hardest things I had to understand, because I'm dealing with a parking operations person who's got a very large car park that needs to be managed in so many different ways. You've got casual parking on Monday to Friday basis. You've got permanent parkers. You've got your regular stakeholders. The AFL has got offices in the room here in the building. And then match day, the whole world goes mad because there's 60,000 people here, and there's 2,500 people scrambling to get down Burke Road.
That's correct, yep.
and all of that comes into some of the challenges that were very unique to a parking solution. Right? There's not something that you just pull out of the box and say, "Here, I've got something prepared for you." So that design process we went through was extremely valuable, not only for me as a learning the parking aspects of Marvel Stadium, but just understanding what it is going to make it easier for Rina. And I do remember when we did kick off, I think it was the Western Bulldogs, or one of the first teams that we did start, we had a few rumblings. Do you remember?
A couple. No, it wasn't too bad. We got through them. Luckily, Hamish was on standby for us for the day, and we had a couple of little issues maybe with the clubs, but that was, you know, it all went pretty well.
And once we got started, we then started to reap the benefits of the design process. So being able to rinse and repeat, I guess, round by round, game by game, reissue passes for specific people, change that group of people. How's the feedback from the clubs, you know, once they've got their head around what they're actually operating?
Oh no, the clubs love it. The clubs absolutely love the way it's set up. In the old way, they had to individually send tickets to every single person every week. So that's every player, every official, every staff member of their team. They had to send them out individually. They can now save a list, just send that list out and say send, and all the tickets have gone out to everybody that they need them to go out to. And all the feedback from every club is they love it, and surprisingly the umpires love it too.
There you go. They're regular users of it too, because they actually are frequent flyers, I guess, is probably
Yeah,
the
they
best
do
way.
training here during the week as well, so they use it for their training sessions as well. Yeah.
So it's not just major events that we've built this for. It actually can be used as we did today. We did a slightly different setup for today's parking, for those of you who drove in today. But for events, there are smaller events. There's not all 60,000 people here.
No, we do use it for smaller events, smaller functions, and we're going to build more into it as function spaces are hired out. We will build more into it and use it on a wider scale as well. So we've still got lots of work to do with you guys.
Yeah, there is, and lots still coming with the new Marvel app being launched early next year, which is very exciting as well for everyone.
That'll be great.
I think in the event side, I think we might step through some of the realities of the deck and the formalities of that, where we did a lot of testing. I remember those first few days I was driving in and out myself just to make sure, because I'm just one of those paranoid individuals that just don't believe it until I do it, but was able to do that. I sent in a few scouts as well, just to make sure they were...
We did a lot of testing through staff here as well. We got them to do a lot of testing here as well.
Yeah, look, and that was one of those real good learning experiences for myself as well. I don't really come from a parking background, as you know, but I'm learning fast and adapting well. So I might grab Jessie to come up and do a bit of magic on the laptop for me as we get into that. But what I really want to sort of highlight here is how the delegation of control for the clubs has been built within the system. Hopefully my browsing history is all good there, Jessie. That should be fine. We had a laptop breakdown at the beginning of the day, so we have jumped to an alternate solution. So this is the desktop solution that we built for it, and one of the key things that you see right on the get-go there is on the dashboard is to create a new event or an event reservation, and this is to help Rina and her team in many ways build new events, not just for event management, but for public sale. Yep. And I think that's one of the key things. Today's event was a publicly accessible link off the Marvel Stadium website, but in many ways, Jessie's going to go here and quickly walk through creating a new event. I don't know when you'll do it, but we use the design workshop experience that we had very early on to actually iterate and deliver improved user experience. Our platform is a Meccano set of toys, and there's so many pieces to that puzzle, and we needed to bring that together into a single screen that allowed the parking operations team to deliver that. And as you can see from what Jesse's quickly doing, he's quickly going out and building an event. There's a couple of key features there that were unique to us, and one of the key ones was that auto-close the transaction. When you are in a parking game and you create a booking or a reservation, you assume that the person's going to enter and then exit the car park.
No, not here during event days, no.
Not on event days, no. As the AFL stipulate very strictly that all car parks should be exited as quickly as possible.
Boom gates up.
Boom gates up. So it's hard to capture an exit and make sure you're charging appropriately in that situation. It's quite unique. However, with a bit of work, we've actually managed to refine that process to even put some business rules around that, because some events will close sooner than others. Many, in fact, will be daytime events that will finish up in the early evening, and we still want to make sure we're charging appropriately for evening rates, for example, or other activities.
Or any overstays, anything like that.
But one of the other things you'll see here on this screen is the ability to add multiple clubs and provide them access to a number of invites or tickets. And as you can see there, Jesse's just quickly adding those in. The AFL have used that in different ways, haven't you? You've sort of realised that there's actually a little bit of delegation we can do here. It's not just one person at Western Bulldogs that does it all.
That's correct. So with the clubs, they usually have two different people that their tickets are managed by. We used to have to do a lot of that back work for them, get it all ready for them, send them out to them. But now they can just log in and they manage. It's up to them now to manage their tickets and to manage who they go to, and so it's taken a lot of work away from us, which is great. And now they have to own it. If they if they make the error, it's their error, not our error anymore.
And that's actually a really good point. I think one of the key things that I remember early on was some of the first clubs that came on board were like, I need to send all the emails to me because I need to forward it on to Bob and Jenny and the CEO and his kids, and they're going to forward it on to them, and they're going to forward it on to them. And it was all just emails being sent on. Was that?
Yep. Yeah, that's correct.
And so there was a bit of a change there for the clubs. And once they sort of got their heads around the fact that if I had the email address of all those 10 people I need to invite, I don't need to do anything, do I?
No, exactly. I make a list and I send them off every week to those people.
That's right. So what Jesse's got there is an event that we've, I don't know, is it the new one coming up?
This is just one that we created, so BBL, Melbourne Renegades versus the Adelaide Strikers. Yeah. Great spelling.
The Strickers.
Great spelling, Hamish. Sorry.
And so I, as the Renegade admin, I've got all of my sort of emails here that I would normally send it off to. Again, don't have to manually put it in unless I want to, as I put myself down the bottom because I would like a ticket to the Strickers. And then from here we can just send off who we want to send off, and if there's anybody from this particular list that we don't want for this particular game, then we can just sort of remove them as well. And this is me as the Renegade admin, not me as Rina and Hattie in the office either. So it's sort of delegating that responsibility out to who really should be responsible for it. But they obviously set the business rules.
Yep.
And this is allowing us, and for those of you who did get the confirmation today, you would have received a standard email from the Marvel system, which would then be allowed to be added to your Google or Apple wallets for easy access at the gate. So that made it really simple for those players and officials, which were our first target sort of group.
Yep.
But quickly we realised it expanded quite easily through to other groups as well. So I think coterie clubs and other divisions within those clubs are actually using that for their events as well, which is actually quite slick. And really the key to that was to take the pain of actually creating passes and adding, I mean, you would have had back in the day, did you always get a phone call on match day or two?
Yes, all the time. Oh, we forgot 3 people. And in the old system we couldn't issue on the day, but with this one you can issue right up to game time. So yeah, that's great.
And then post-match, what happens at post-match? Because not everyone gets a free pass here at Marvel, I know that. That's very much a thing.
As in what?
Well, previously it was quite a process to reconcile what had happened on the day and who got what pass. Is that right? Because they were just emails.
Yeah, well, we weren't aware of who got what. We couldn't see who got what. So now it's just a matter of we just remove them all from the system at the end of the night, and we can do them in batches or groups or whatever we need to do.
And if you jump back to the event administration area there, you'll be able to see maybe those issued passes within that profile that you've got for one or two of those demo events that we have there. So you can see there on that right-hand column, probably even on that screen that you were there, if you just go back, there's a number of sent invitations that have been sent through to end users so that the clubs themselves are able to manage their allocation. They may only have 50 passes if they're an away team. They may use 48 and they may decide not to use the remainder. And that allows you to manage your internal costs.
That's correct.
One of the key things. So moving forward, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening here with your partners as well, with Telstra launching the Marvel app in the new year. And that's going to integrate, I guess, every experience here at Marvel Stadium. That's
correct, yeah. Yep, it's all in one place.
All in one place. So the food, beverage...
Yep. Tickets, car parking, everything, all in one place. Yep.
So that's going to be very exciting as well. I think I think testing's in progress as we speak, and we're looking forward to that. I'll maybe just see through what else we've got here on the. Well, this is really just closing out for those reference people on the project. I think today we're sort of working through a lot of those new functionality and features for Marvel, and I think I might ask: are there any questions out there from our illustrious audience? We've been doing a lot of talking here.
I think you might have just answered the question, but I was going to ask, what I was going to ask is when you talk about tickets, Rita, is it just for the parking or is it, and I think you just touched on it, is it going to be combined with the actual ticket with Ticketek?
No, it's not combined with Ticket. Well, we use Ticketmaster here, we're not a Ticketek. We're not a Ticketek agency here, but no, it's still a separate. But all your parking and your buying of your tickets will now be able to be done through the one app. Yeah.
Do you envisage that ever being combined, or it's the too
Not,
big a
look,
too big a
Ticketmaster
task?
do sell car parking tickets with us as well. They have a link and they get so many per event to sell. But once that, what we're trying to push for is once that allocation is gone, that it will then just take you to the UbiPark app to book your parking.
The other question that I had was probably for Jesse. When he was setting up the group, he allocated 45 or 50 tickets. Do you have any sort of measurement as to whether those 45 or 50 tickets are actually being used?
Yes, we do. You'll see on the side he might issue 45. We might issue 45 to the club, but on the side it tells you on the side how many they've actually used. So that's what we charge for. Yeah.
While we're getting some more questions, Jesse, do you want to jump into the Marvel website and actually look at the user experience?
We didn't actually show that, sorry.
I think one of the things that we identified with Rina and the team early, and this comes from those discovery workshops and going through the user journeys, mapping it out and understanding with Justin and the team, it was really clear that there was two different personas that the AFL wanted to meet. It was the casual parking Monday to Friday, where they try and get as much revenue into the car park, as Rina's got budgets she needs to make. But then the event parking was probably the one we've actually tailored. If you just click on event parking, we've actually tailored this to reduce the amount of clicks that you need to do as a user to get the booking actually completed. So you can now click on the event you want. You don't have to put an entry date or time in, or an exit date and time in. It's pre-defined in the background when they set up the event on what the times are available for parking, and then that's communicated out via the email confirmation to the end user. You can turn up for an AFL football game that starts at 7:30 at 4 o'clock, and you've got to leave before midnight. Yep. Whatever it might be, until the gates come back down at 6 a.m. the next day or whatever it is.
Okay, don't stay up that long, Mawson, no.
But that's the sort of user journey you're able to flesh out, and then we'll keep iterating that over time with the team as we sort of get the feedback from the customers on how that is. But that's reduced the amount of clicks a user has to do to actually get that booking completed. Any questions?
Austin, I'm quite interested. Hi, I'm interested in how you balance Rina and her team's needs with product management and the commercial viability of a repeatable product for other clients.
Yeah, I think that's for me. I think that was our challenge originally. Will's built, and Will's probably the person that needs to answer the question, but we've built a really configurable solution. So there was some development around this administration, and that's been developed with an eye of putting into our product so it can be used by any of our customers, not just the AFL. And that was based on our pricing to the AFL. They haven't paid for all the work to actually get that feature. They've paid a license fee for us to turn that on. But we see this working in hotels for events. So we've got some hotel solutions. We've got other event customers that we're talking to around that. So this is now part of our base product that can be turned on. So we're using the insights of the AFL going through that experience and their customers, because we've talked to them, and then use that to actually improve our product for all customers. Anyone else? Liv? You don't need a microphone.
So you've said, Rina, that you've had a friendship with Mawson for a long time, and you've come in. Has it been nice sort of having the partnership back again, and also the looking forward, as you say, we've got the new app coming next year. Is it nice to see we've got this first stuff through, but you can actually keep working and developing with
Yeah,
us?
look, it's great to have Moss on board, only because they're very easy to deal with. Nothing's too much of a problem, and any issue that we have is resolved I mean, within a couple of hours, we've got an email back saying it's resolved. So, but it's been great to have Moz. He's very easy to deal with, and so is the whole team.
That's what my wife says.
I'm not married to you, Moz, so yeah. So it's just been great to have the team on board, and the team are fantastic and so helpful to us. Yep.
Yeah, I think for us it goes the other way as well. You have customers that listen, and we listen to them. And if you work as a partner in a partnership type of way, which we have a lot of customers like it. Like it's the same at First Parking. It's the same. We're going through a project at the moment I can't talk about, but it feels exactly the same way there, where you've got a collaborative approach. We can pick up and learn. There's stuff we don't know about the operation down here that Rina and Hattie need to explain to us so we understand it. And we also need to explain to them, because sometimes you get stuck in what you've had and what you know. So we've got to explain to them that they've got a different product that they can use in different ways. And you can do different user journeys, and you're not just stuck in the same way of doing it all the time. So it works both ways.
Yeah, looking at Rina's whiteboard when I first walked into her office, it was a very, very eye-opening experience, I can tell you. There's a lot going on match days, and it was quite, well, I underestimated what we walked into personally as I came in. I went, okay, this will be pretty simple. No.
We made it very hard for them.
All right, if everyone would like to thank Rina, Hamish and Jessie, that'd be welcome.